Now, from the makers of bullshit comes the all-new Blue Sex Machine. Designed to chop, slice, and shred your family? That's right, now you can shit directly into this giant salad bowl.
48 minutes of dogs barking, 48 minutes of dogs barking, 48 minutes of dogs barking, 48 minutes of dogs barking. Growl! Growl! 48 minutes of dogs barking, 48 minutes of dogs barking.
It's 48 minutes of dogs barking. My name's Jason. Alongside for the ride with me is Brian, my do or die bitch. You're hearing this episode on time because I'm a crazy person, and I fucked up and deleted the original episode, and so now we got to do it again. For everyone involved, sorry about that. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our very special guest tonight, which is, of course, the self-described gender-fluid transvestite goblin, best known for creating the Hugo-nominated microfiction Midnight Pals, writer of, quote, psychosexual body horror, winner of the Brave New Weird Award for Tenebrous Press, and co-host of the podcast A Special Presentation, or Alf Will Not Be Seen Tonight. Please welcome to the program, Bitter Karella.
Hey, thanks for having me.
That is a mouthful, isn't it?
I like it because I like hearing about all the stuff I do. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel like a big man.
Right. And you go, I did that? Oh, yeah, that's right. I did that. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, I sound pretty great. I remember last time when we recorded the first time, I was like, yeah, might be winner of the Hugo, but the next time we talk. It turns out that is not the case, so I am not the Hugo winner. I was... but you know how it is. It's all rigged. It's rigged. No, I kid.
Yeah. Yeah. You and Chuck Tingle have a very clear case about it being rigged.
Yeah. No, I joke because Chris Barkley, who won Best Fan Writer, is actually like a real good guy and does really good work in the fan reporting community. So can't say it was not deserved. But still, I would prefer if I won. That's just my feeling.
Right. In general.
But like the Hugos happened in China. I guess Raytheon did not sponsor them this year because I haven't heard any drama. So I guess it all went very boringly. Good on China. Chairman G really came through. So I'm glad that it went well. I think Chairman G's in charge over there, right?
That sounds right.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah. It's like I know geopolitics. I'm a knowledgeable person. Yeah, right. I'm not sure who's in charge of it. It's like, the emperor, maybe. I don't know.
Right. Who knows?
The Great Khan. I'm not sure who runs China. Probably, like Mao. Is he still around?
I know who's not running China.
Who's that?
The landlords.
Good. See that we need to get that sort of energy over here.
Yeah, we are missing some of that Maoist thought in the West. Here,
what we need to do over here, we need to get all those landlords and throw them in the communal wells for harboring bicameral thoughts. We're just saying that China's way ahead of us on that sort of thing. So,
yeah.
Anyway, America, get with the program.
Come on, what's the deal?
Yeah, but we won't because this country sucks, and I'm allowed to say that on this podcast, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Good. Okay. Anyway, sorry, I was kind of babbling. Anyway,
we say it pretty regularly, so it's fine.
Yeah. Anyway,
you're not on like Pod Save America or something.
Yeah, it's actually very problematic the way that I hear you've been like talking shit about our glorious leader, Joe Biden.
You're gonna make
everyone bring Trump back. Do you want Trump back? Is that what you want? Oh,
I don't think that really matters at this point.
Shit's fucked, but
yeah, the Democrats have shown themselves to be just as much in love with war and cruelty and alienation and the displacement of minorities and migrants. So yeah, at least Trump was funny.
I will say that.
Remember when they had Halloween at the White House, and there was a kid dressed as a minion, and he just like fucking just puts the candy bar on top of the minion costume. It slides off, and he's just like, man, fuck it. Like,
Oh.
I mean,
Truly a top 10 moment. Yeah, him staring at the sun during an eclipse. Gotta love it.
that's probably my favorite. I do love that moment.
Just a total moron.
I do respect that we had a president who was not afraid to stare at the sun.
Well, you know what? I mean, hey, it's about time. We've been letting that sun push us around for too long. I say, bring the pride back to America. You know, we are not afraid of the sun. For too long, America has been afraid of the sun. We're gonna Mr. Burns it. We're gonna put a big thing to block out the sun. I think that happened in the Simpsons movie. It's been a while.
Sure. I was thinking of the Mr. Show sketch, how we the moon has pushed us around for too long. We're gonna just go blow it up.
Yeah, America can and will blow up the moon. Underrated show. There are so many great moments.
And so many great people came out of it. I mean, God, Sarah Silverman and Jack Black.
Oh, hey.
Oh wait. She said something,
about
didn't
her
she?
right now because she thinks it's okay for children in Gaza to die.
Right. Okay. And Tom Kenny, hey, SpongeBob.
Yeah.
Wait, Jay Johnston was at January 6th. I got to rethink this. Hold on.
Well, you know, there are so many great moments in Mr. Show. You know what? It also, by a very weird coincidence, recently I was remembering Mr. Show, and I was like, you know what? It was a great Mr. Show moment. FF Woody Cook, you know? Great skit. And I was
the shaking the crime stick.
That's him. Yep. And my friend was like, "Oh, you know, that's based on a real guy." And I was like, "Oh, really?" And I looked him up, and it was like he died that day.
No shit. Oh my god.
I think his name FF Bittenbinder. I forget the name.
Yeah, JJ Bittenbinder.
That's him. He literally died the day that I looked him up. So
wow.
Kind of weird, but other than that, however, there's so many great Mr. Show sketches that I'd say that like FF Woody Cooks, that's not even the top. That's maybe top 10. But not the best.
Pre-taped live call-in show.
Yeah, when we used to do the show on like a week delay, Brian would constantly say like, "This is the fucking pre-tape call-in show of podcasts." we had a week delay for some. I can't even remember why, but like, I guess it was just so I had time to edit or whatever. But it was just like, we're like a week behind everything. What is going on? So eventually we caught up, and we're going pretty much live to tape now. And boy. Yeah, there were some weeks where we're like, wow, I just saw that, I heard that episode that dropped, and that story has really fucking changed in the past week, and that does happen a lot with this stuff. Like, for example, our first story of the this week segment is a guest we just had on this past week, Miles Klee. He was talking about this before we started recording last week, and I'm so mad that we didn't get it on tape because, boy, it was really funny hearing about it firsthand before it became a Rolling Stone piece on their culture blog. But TikTok dragged her for eating 48 oysters on a date. Restaurant manager says, quote, "It's nothing new." I love this story no matter how many times I hear it. This is like the meatball story that the guys on What a Time to Be Alive told. She goes on a date with a guy. She takes him out for drinks. Again, this is very important for the story. It's 4 drinks. This is user Equana with 3 A's. She goes to Fontaine's Oyster Bar in Atlanta, Georgia. They have Oyster Tuesday, $15 for a dozen, which ain't half bad for downtown Atlanta. She proceeds, in front of this gentleman, to eat 4 plates. So that's, 48 oysters. And then gets crab cakes, and then potatoes, and then like lemon drops and all this stuff. And then he just ditches her. And she says, "Why is this guy in the bathroom for 20 minutes leaving me with the check?" Lady, I would have left you at the second tray. Like, okay, that's $30 worth of oysters. We're here for drinks. What is happening here?
That is a lot of oysters.
That is an excessive amount.
Yeah, because like I can split 12 with my wife and be satisfied. You know what I mean? Like that's what happened when I was in Vegas. That was I had half a dozen, and I was like, you know what, this is good. That's enough oysters for me. I'm fine, and I'm a bigger guy.
Yeah. I have a theory about this story though myself.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, like, because the question is whether it's justified that this guy ditched her Yeah, I went to the bathroom and jumped out the window while she was
whatever it was.
Yeah.
Slipped out the back door.
Yeah, all while she's going Anton Scalia on these oysters. And I would say, like, personally, like, if I was involved in this, like, I think I would pay good money to see a woman eat 4 trays of oysters, because that's how many each? That's 10 oysters each tray. That's 40 oysters.
That's 12 each tray, 48 oysters.
48 oysters. That's a good amount of oysters. Now, I mean, I would, now my proclivities, there's other things I'd rather see, like, a lady eat, like a wedding cake maybe, or like, just with 8 tiers, like pastries, that's my thing, waffles. But oysters will do. I will still be sexually aroused at 48 oysters watching them be eaten. But that's me. I like I said, I think most people don't have my particular interest in that. So a normie, I think, is justified in leaving because he's been promised, he's been sold on that they're going to get drinks.
Right.
Not 48 oysters that she's not even sharing.
And then crab cakes.
And crab cakes. Oh, were there lemon drops involved as well?
Yeah, she was drinking lemon drops the whole time.
That's
there was
right.
like 3 lemon drops on top of it all. So it's ridiculous.
Because, I mean, at that point, this is a first date, too, I think they said.
Yeah, because it was some guy that had been like hounding her for a date and but like, let me take you out to drinks. And so she relents, but takes him to this place for oysters and then gets mad that he doesn't like split the check.
What? Okay. Well, besides all the other stuff, it's like, look, the guy, she's soaking him for 48 oysters, and like obviously he's going on a date because I haven't dated in a while, but I assume the kids when they date today they want to like fuck. They're still into that sort of thing, right? You go on the date.
One would hope.
Yeah,
the economy still allows it.
Yeah, it's still in style, I think. That's still a thing. So I'm guessing if you're watching your date eat 48 oysters, it's like, yeah, she's not going to be in the mood because she's going to have like the fucking meat sweats,
Yeah.
She's so you're basically like just paying, and there's no point at that point. I mean,
no,
not to be churlish about it, but I'm assuming that if you're going on a date and you're not, and 100% that you're not going to get down to clown, it's like, well, why even bother at that point? So yeah, I think he's probably pretty justified in just bailing, but I suspect there was no dude at all. I suspect she made up the whole story so that she could do this thing for internet clout, because she never shows him on video during the whole thing, right?
He is not seen whatsoever.
Yeah, so I think she invented the whole thing. It worked because she's in Rolling Stone, and she's famous for eating 48 oysters. Yep. And I just realized there's video footage of her eating 48 oysters, so I got to go watch that now,
Right.
For reasons.
Yeah, personal reasons. But yeah, even in the piece that Miles there does say, first she denied any charge the video had been staged. As to why the table never gets cleared, Flanagan being the restaurant manager, explains that the TikTok user asked her server to keep the empty plates so she could stack them for the video. Now, the restaurant manager does confirm that there was a guy there. Okay, and I don't know what was said, Flanagan says, but he popped back in and then they left.
Huh, okay. There's a new wrinkle. So I'm going to assume in that case, this guy was probably her like stage manager or whatever they have when you're a TikTok person.
Right.
You're I don't know what you have when you're a TikTok person. I haven't figured it out.
Brain damage.
Enabler.
An enabler. Yeah, that's it too. Yeah, I mean, Jesus. Here's a couple of Twitter comments there. I'm watching this irritated because she was exposing my favorite oyster spot in Atlanta, but this is way too funny not to share. Another one, she sat in that man's face and slurped down 48 oysters, 2 crab cakes, potatoes, and 3 lemon drops while recording. Bro, I would have left her ass too. And so on and so forth. I mean, there's just so many. A lot of reaction to that. Speaking of reactions on Twitter, a really weird one this week. I don't know if you're following this little bit of drama with Alicia Keys. Alicia Keys, of course, You Don't Know My Name. She sang on that Jay-Z song, New York State of Mind, which is not the Nas one. It's the other one. Alicia Keys, this poster says, posted this pro-Hamas filth on Instagram, even going so far as to say she's interested in paragliding like Hamas paraglided into the concert in towns where they raped and killed over 1,000 civilians. Hamas colors. Read her caption under the picture, and then this user then tags at Stop Anti-Semites. Which is just... Alicia Keys' post, by the way, is the most innocuous thing I've ever seen anyone post. What would you do if you weren't afraid of anything? Live your truth. I've had my eyes on paragliding. 2 eyeball emojis.
It would be very funny if Alicia Keys had tweeted, what would you do if you weren't afraid of anything? I've had my eye on paragliding, just like Hamas paraglided into those towns to rape and kill. That would be very funny if she did that.
A very different story, yeah.
Yeah. Well, people be looking for reasons to be mad right now, which is very unusual on the internet. People never do that.
Yeah, strange, isn't it?
Just what a bad time to express your curiosity in like a weird California dude's hobby. And then also have it being used by an insurgent element in a conflict in the Middle East. Because it really does look like the footage of those guys paragliding into that music festival. It looks like something out of Grand Theft Auto. Which I know that's a cliche. It looks like something that happened in GTA Online, but it really does.
It looks bizarre. It looks surreal because it is. It's a surreal thing to do. It's just...
What was the concert?
EDM, I think. It was bad EDM because all EDM is typically bad.
I was going to say, yeah, you have to be more specific.
Yeah. So there was that. And then what way you get roasted on the internet?
Not going to say anything about the conflict in the Middle East. I already got shadow banned on Twitter for talking too much about that. So
No, wait a minute. I thought you were shadow banned on Twitter for doing the Sinfest thread. That was why you got shadow banned.
I'm actually not sure at this point because I have been shadow banned, and it happened after I posted a little about the Middle East. And also people discovered the Sinfest thread and started retweeting that. So it's one of those two things. I don't know. I'm not really sure what Elon is mad about these days more. It could be anything because it's Elon. He's a wild man.
Did he find the Midnight Palace thread about the Italian Elon Musk references?
Midnight Pals is still findable on Twitter, so he has not noticed that. You know what? Who knows? I'm at a loss. That's why I'm telling everyone, go find me on Blue Sky. I'm mouthing off there now.
Hell yeah. That's the place to be. Brian, are you still hanging out on Blue Sky?
Kind of. I think I post on there like once every couple months. I think the last time I posted on there was when I photographed AJJ a couple months ago at Del Mar Hall. And just before that show, they had announced that they had joined Blue Sky. So I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll promote the photos over there and like tag them in the post. And they also have not posted since they made like their first skeet on Blue Sky, which was just a photo of the open road saying, this tour thing's pretty cool, which is very on key for like Sean Ben's sense of humor. I guess I'm not like cool enough to have like a following that translates over the Blue Sky. It really seems like if you were someone who like had podcasts that started in 2017, you moved over Blue Sky, that you had like a following that found you there or followed you over there. Me, I'm just like a angry guy in the Midwest. So,
well, one thing you won't see on Blue Sky is Eve Barlow's hot takes.
Oh, these are spicy. You mean I'm gonna say something anti-Semitic. You mean Eve Fartlow?
Yes, Eve Fartlow.
Oh gosh, I just got a follow request from Stormfront.
I got a DM from the IDF. Hold on, what's this?
Oh, wait, what?
So, what is our good friend Eve Fartlow up to these days?
Oh boy, Eve Fartlow has been posting through it. Here's a post. I can't even get through this. I completely understand why ordinary Germans thought the Nazis were great. That's about all I can make it through without puking myself. Because they were efficient and they promised to build a great workforce and economy, they were selling something. Now, she follows it up with, but the Palestinians aren't selling anything that the Western intelligentsia can buy. Nobody truly believes if the Palestinians were in charge here in the West that suddenly we would have utopian lives and great business structures and yada, yada, yada. Do they? Which is, it's certainly a take, I guess.
A whole lot going on there, as they say.
Only Eve Barlow could get on Twitter and be like, regarding the Nazis, you got to hand it to them. And then, refuse to elaborate further.
Yeah. That is incredible. Incredible mind, like a shiny, smooth ball bearing. Amazing.
She's giving mother. She's serving. It's okay. It's fine.
So Eve Barlow, or Fartlow, sorry, I got to give her the credit of her proper name. Yeah, she's always struck me as she's kind of one of those very particular kind of lib-brained people who's like, I like having Mexican immigrants because we get more taco trucks, like that kind. The kind of like what's in it for me sort.
Yeah,
because it is very weird. She's like, well, if you're not getting anything out of it, why are you opposed to a genocide? It's like, there's a lot of genocides that like I'm opposed to, and I'm not necessarily getting anything. Like I'm not, it's like, right. What have the Uyghurs done for me lately? What have it's like, okay, I'm not really sure what she's getting at here.
It's peculiar because she's kind of making, I think, an argument here that falls into the old anti-Semitic trope is that like that Israel is above America or has some sort of control of America. So that is peculiar, but it's also just like, yeah, you're right. It just what's in it for me, which is just such a lib brain take. I gotta ask, if the Palestinians don't have running water, electricity, or fuel, what can they give to me, the privileged American? What can they give to me on the free market that the Israelis can't? I have to ask. I have a degree in journalism. So
it's Eve Barlow. She's been had a locked account for what now? 5 years at this point. No one has been allowed to reply to her for years.
Yeah, she edits the ability to reply, but no, her account is not locked. You can go ahead and just pull her up. Unfettered brainworms, though. Like anytime she posts, it's anyone, only accounts that she follows or mentioned can reply. So, no one's blowing up her mentions with Eve Barlow, but they are hitting the quote tweets quite a bit. So
now is she she's the one who had the thing where she saw like a stop sign and was like, oh, I got scared because I thought it said stop oppressing Palestine or something.
It was free parking.
That's it.
and she thought it said free Palestine. And then it was the Jews are tired.
I would like to know where does she live in general? Like where? I mean,
look, I'm assuming New York.
Okay.
I'm just assuming it. Just it's a thing.
I'm just curious where it would make sense to be just driving around and see a parking lot with a big sign that says "Free Palestine." Like where would you see that in the United States? Because I feel like
I can't think of one.
It's not really a normal thing. Like maybe Berkeley, but like even then, I don't think that's a normal thing. To just see on the street.
No, I'm sorry. Her bio says Los Angeles, California.
Okay. Yeah. There are a lot of dumb people who live there too. So I think that scans.
All them coastal people, what do they know?
Yeah.
So, Karella, are you familiar with the gentleman who goes by the name of Kyle Gordon, also known as DJ Crazy Times?
Why, yes, I am.
Oh, we love DJ Crazy Times here on the show. Of course, Planet of the Bass, we really like covering that. Kyle Gordon, though, has released on the TikTok handle at Kyle Gordon is great. Every early 2000s girl boss country song. It's called "Girls Are the Best."
No argument.
It is Kyle in some pretty passable drag, long red hair, doing what is essentially a Shania Twain video, but also side by side is Kyle Gordon himself. I said Kim Gordon. Boy, Tells you where I'm at. Kyle Gordon himself in like a trucker hat, and all the subtitles are like, if you listen to this song, you're a stinky feminist. So he's playing both sides, which is great. So he's guested on the song by Tanya McCabe, and the song is called Girls Are the Best. It's so much fun. It's like Shania Twain times.
He seems to be kind of filling the ecological niche that Kelly and Shoes did, back in the before times.
Okay, yes, that's exactly, this kind of drag adjacent performance. Yeah.
Yeah,
and he looks just like he's having a good time. That's what I love about it. It's just like it's a great performance.
He looks good too,
But the idea that he's playing both the character in the video and then a character who is like mad at feminists in the same video, it's like, okay, all right. I think you might have something here. Aside from just the obvious like clickbait stuff, I think like the idea of this is pretty fun. Like, you're dressing up in both the thing you want to kind of celebrate as like a goofy art form, and also immediately coming up with a counter to it in character. Were you ever a Shania Twain fan?
I definitely enjoy some of the Twain. I like the one where she sings about like how she can drive a car.
Okay.
Women can do anything.
Women can do anything. That's why they're my favorite guy. I like the one where she sings about like, what is it? There's another song she sang. She sang a bunch of songs. I'm trying to remember what they are now because it's been like a hot minute since I listened to Shania Twain. But they were catchy because she was kind of the early aughts, I think, wasn't she? That was her heyday.
Yeah, not from 97 to like 2002. That was her big era there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
I remember because country music was getting, that was when it was really turning into the the like, I have a truck. Oh, there's a girl. She's wearing jeans. Are they painted on? Yes, they are painted on jeans in the back of my truck. Like that was like every country song. So
sure.
It was like a breath of fresh air because she was singing about like, well, she did sing about a truck, I guess, because she sang about her car. That's basically like, cars are basically like the trucks of the road. So it's basically the same thing. But
the big one was, of course, "Man, I Feel Like a Woman." That don't impress me much. You're Still the One. Like, there's a lot of real classics in her oeuvre, as it were. And
that don't impress me. I heard that in the Walgreens the other day. I can't believe I forgot. It's like, that one's pretty good too. I like when she's saying that, like, oh, you think you're the Brad Pitt. It's like, yeah, that's right. He was like a big guy at that point. He was the heartthrob.
97. Oh yeah. He was just in Thelma and Louise at that point. So everybody was,
he was like, oh, nuts. He was in Interview with a Vampire. He was in, he was the man. I'm sure he's still good looking. I'm sure he's still doing stuff. I just haven't
got a little bit older is all, I think, is really the only thing. Yeah. So speaking of vampires, Dracula and etc. That's the best segue I got for this. Are you familiar with Plum Corp Records? You know who these folks are?
Yes, I am. They're fully Draculated.
Yes. So we've talked about this on the program before. Of course, we talked about Dracula Flow. It's the guy in the really goofy Dracula costume with the painted on. It looks like it's drawn on with Sharpie. It's the painted on Widow's Peak, and he's just slinging all sorts of game. Like Brian, what was the one? Because you started writing your own. It was like
I did.
I'm throwing bands at the ancient pyramids.
No, his was I'm throwing diamonds at the club beneath the ancient pyramids or something along those lines. Let's see here.
Yeah, because I had to pull it up because he was messaging me just like all sorts of wild shit. I'm like, God damn.
Took 2 hits of that Nepalese Hindu spirit wax and went Master Chief nonverbal at the Circle K. Out here learning new gang signs like I'm playing the League Beta of No Man's Sky on these bars. Plug at the Blimpies gave me the senior discount because I call him son. I think your favorite one, Jason, is hit a bowl of that Jory LaForge. Now I can't see shit. Yeah, that one. Is that the one you're talking about?
Oh yeah, I was at the dentist and I was getting ready to have a fucking crown put on and I'm reading these and I cannot stop laughing. I'm like crying laughing at the dentist. God damn it. Well, so those guys, they put out a track just a week ago from a guy who supposedly looks like Michael Phelps. I don't see it. They call him Big Swimmer. It's a track called Spread It. And then almost immediately out comes this. It's Bat Talk. And it's a guy and it's a guy in a really cheap looking 60s era Batman costume with bloodshot eyes. And he's going like, I'm a real freak. I need top. I ain't been milked in a minute.
Ferragamo belt, Indian ginseng got me feeling wild.
And it's 3 minutes long, and this guy's just like freaking out and going like, the perk hitting, where is she? It's like, fuck. I urge you, if you haven't seen it, those of you listeners out there, go look it up. It's just Bat Talk. It already has about 250,000 views, as well it should. Holy shit. Like, just, it's unhinged. Just like Dracula Flow, just like Big Swimmer, all that stuff. These guys are fucked up, and I love them for it because they're inventing language. Like, I saw a meme the other day, and it was an image from Dracula Flow, and it just said, like, if you listen to this, your vocabulary will be forever changed. And they're fucking right. Because every time I see one of their videos, I like, oh, okay, I guess now I'm just going to start saying, I ain't been milked in a minute now forever. That's just how I'm going to start talking. He says, like, I need a thick bitch with regular legs or something.
Yeah, no, relatable.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, granted. The internet has allowed so many wonderful things to happen. Plum Corp Records is just among them. Brian, you had a theory, though. You were talking about how, like, you think this is just like somebody's uncle.
I get the, like, surprisingly young uncle vibes. Like, I feel like this is like, I had a few friends growing up that had, like, an uncle, like, so, like, say we're in our mid-teens, like an uncle who was, like, somehow in his, like, mid-20s. You know, like, you're trying to do the math, it doesn't work out, but you're just like, whatever, like, he's going to drive us to the mall. But this is like the thing, if TikTok or YouTube existed, that he would probably, like, that kind of uncle, that sort of uncle magic would transpire. Just yes. Kind of like hedonistic, just bizarre. Like, the whole Plum Corp, some of the stuff is just downright, it's more weird than it is funny, but there's some stuff like the Big Swimmer and, like, Dracula Flow that is really just ethereal and amazing. I do feel like it's probably just like a bunch of bored guys just hanging out. Like, they don't want to own boats, so they just want to make weird videos. Like, they don't know what to do with their time or money, so they're just gonna be like, yeah, let's buy our buddy some Versace shoes and put a swimmer's cap on him and make him wear the goggles, and we'll say he looks like Michael Phelps.
We're gonna have him record like the lamest trap rap song through a vocoder, and he's just saying shit about, like, the bitch on fentanyl got me catatonic, and, like, just absolute lunacy. I love it. I wish them nothing but the best. I hope this guy gets whatever's wrong with his bloodshot eye fixed.
The bloodshot eyes are really upsetting.
It is distressing. Like, the makeup is smeared in a way that looks like he's been crying. That really fucks me up. There's all these really unsettling close-ups of the bloodshot eye.
Yeah, the bloodshot eye is the part that's not cash money to me.
Because then that makes me go, oh, is this guy really just perked up and they're just filming him? Because that's some sort of elder abuse that you can't even imagine. Fuck. All right, we got another thing the magic of the internet has given us is, of course, a TikTok account called @mememusic117. Karella, are you familiar with this? Have you heard about this? Have you seen this?
This is a new one to me. What's this one about?
This one is essentially taking Blender objects or Maya objects, things that are created in a 3D modeling software, and making them perform along to popular music but popular music from like 20 years ago. So here's one. The Machines won, says Andrew Boley. I can watch The Simpsons play break stuff. Whatever AI they trained the Homer voice on is pretty good. You got Marge playing a righteous bass in the back there. Bart, of course, on drums. Lisa playing guitar. In the background, Mecha Godzilla and Optimus Prime. If you notice in the crowd, obviously Wiggums is there. You got Iron Man, a Stormtrooper, Peter Griffin, Lois Griffin. Let me say Shrek. Shrek's there, of course.
Yep.
The comic book guy. There's a few other, Krusty, of course, in the crowd.
Batman, I see. Apu, Dr. Nick. One of the funny things is in the back, Super Nintendo Chalmers, not dancing at all, just T-posing.
T-posing, I see that. Well, Seymour, I made it to the concert. That has to be. He made it to the concert despite your instructions. Yeah, he's just losing it. Again, he's perked up. He's ready to go. And apparently, this channel is if you look it up on TikTok, it's page after page after page of just that. It's just let me pull it up now because they update constantly. So the account itself has 37,000 followers, 1.5 million likes, and their latest video. Let's see, Homer Simpson singing "I Shot the Sheriff" by Bob Marley and the Wailers. He does Highway to Hell. And there's hundreds of videos like this. And it's just Optimus Prime singing Nirvana's Come As You Are. Great stuff. That's a pro click if you're a TikTok user. That is, because that'll just randomly pop up in your feed now. And you'll have, fucking Optimus Prime being like, you want to put on it. Like, what the fuck is going on here? We do have to end this week's segment on what's happening on the internet with a bit of sad news, of course. This from This Little Miss Can't Be Wrong. Salma Hayek, arrested, military tribunal, executed. Crimes against humanity, adrenochrome, age 36 years old through 52 years old. Hashtag the storm has arrived. So rest in peace, Salma Hayek. That gorgeous rack will not be forgotten.
So
sorry, I had Howard Stern moment there. Oh, she got a great set, yeah.
Salma Hayek, born at 36 years old, died at 52 years old. But as you can see, the adrenochrome did make her into a cat girl,
which I think is kind of
that's what it's for. I think. I mean, that's the whole point of. That's the whole. The adrenochrome. You take a. Wait a minute. I think they misspelled adrenochrome. Is that how
they
it's spelled?
did? No, there's no O. They missed the O, so it's adrenochrome. Yeah, it's adrenochrome.
Adrenochrome.
Adrian Crome and Adrian Brody in that one movie. Yeah, I've seen that.
I'm glad that finally justice was served, and because I think it's just terrible how Salma Hayek has been cracking those babies' heads for way too long, so that she can suck on the sweet marrow inside, just so that she can become like a cat girl.
Right.
And I mean, the results, honestly, not too impressive. She got the ears, but I do not see the collar. I do not see the giant, weird, oversized paws. I don't see the Sailor Fuku. Just very disappointing results. So I can't say the adrenochrome really did her much good. But was it worth it, Salma Hayek? Now you're dead.
I think the original judgment was passed down back in 2017 when, of course, she starred in How to Be a Latin Lover. So we can.
Well, the wheels of justice turn slowly, but finally, our long national nightmare is over. We can rest easy knowing that Salma Hayek is no longer, a threat. Executed. If you see Salma Hayek, don't worry. It's not really her. The real Salma Hayek is dead. That's just the clone that they made so that people wouldn't panic when Salma Hayek was executed.
Well, they did predictive programming on this with that Netflix series that she was just on. You see, that was them telling us that they already had a digital Salma Hayek clone ready to go.
Oh, yeah. See, that's what they do. Yeah. They tease you. They put all these they hide it from you, but then they put clues, so that if you're in the know, you can suss it out. Anyway, what I'm saying is 9/11 inside job. So in conjunction with the Rand Corporation and the Saucer People and the reverse
Go on.
vampires.
Jamie, can you pull up the reverse vampire picture? Well, speaking of wild, it's about the best transition I'm going to get. This is the Crypto Scam of the Week segment of the show.
You're listening to 48 Minutes of Dogs Barking, the podcast.
And now it's time for the Crypto Scam of the Week.
Platypus DeFi lost yet another $2.2 million in a flash loan exploit. Now, Karella, are you familiar with cryptocurrencies, NFTs, any of that stuff?
I've heard of it. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense. I know people keep telling me to get into it. I don't think it's a good thing. I don't think it's good. Everyone's always saying like you can't not lose. You can't lose money on it. It's like printing money. My experience though, when people tell you a thing that doesn't make sense and they tell you that it can make you money, usually that it's not going to make you money.
Generally, yeah, that's fair.
But what's this? How does this particular scam work?
This one was actually a protocol that got for about 2.2 mil.
That's a lot of Funko Pops.
It is. That is essentially what all the NFT shit is. It's just like Funko Pops that you can't display in your man cave, I guess, if you really break it down. Certicay, which is a blockchain security platform, which is a bit of an oxymoron if you ask me. The platform Platypus suffered 3 attacks with 2.23 million taken across the exploits. Starting back on the 12th, they got hit for 1.2 million. A second occurred hours later with about $500,000, and then a minute later, the third attack occurred with another $500,000. The fact that they got hit 3 times in a row is baffling. Usually it's all at once.
Yeah, that seems bad. It seems really bad.
So, Brian, I got to ask your expertise on this because you're the guy who would know. They reference themselves, Platypus, as an automated market maker.
So that's a little bit outside my expertise. I am familiar with market makers, automatic market makers. I think if I had to take a wild guess from what I've been able to glean from the context I see those terms used, it's kind of like pooling people's money into a fund and then using that to kind of shift the markets because now you have the volume. I think that's what that is. Okay. Again, that's
okay.
There's like certain levels of the finance aspect of crypto that I'm not really hip to. I'm more into like weird dudes that have like 8 packs that live in like a coastal city that just flip shit coins all day and somehow make money. That's the stuff that I pay attention to.
That's fair. So my understanding of it is much like Brian's, is that they pool their resources and then you can do buys and sells without going through some of the more traditional processes. So what happened here is what's called a flash loan attack. Now, this is a familiar thing to anyone who's been kind of following the crypto space. A flash loan attack essentially means that the traders exploited a vulnerability that allows them to instantly borrow without providing collateral and then just run off with the money. They're like, oh yeah, give me $500,000. And the exchange goes, okay, without putting up anything for it. Usually you got to put up a coin or an NFT or whatever it is that they have on their market. For whatever reason, they were able to exploit it and just say, money, please, and just get it. And so this apparently is so common that it like has a name, and there's all these different ones that have happened, especially to this exchange. Apparently, Certicay had noted that a recent flash loan attack is the third one this year. Not just 3 in the one day like they just had, but also February, the protocol lost $8.5 million in a similar exploit, which then meant the stable coin they have. Now, a stable coin, and I'm going off what Brian has told me here, so I'm trying to keep my memory fresh, but a stable coin means
it's supposed to be pegged to a real world dollar that's being held somewhere, which in theory is sometimes true, but you look at something like Tether where they print like hundreds of millions of dollars, sometimes billions of dollars, but like where's the actual dollar that exists in real life that represents?
And so in this case, it depegged the stablecoin, meaning that that stablecoin lost its value, which meant that now instead of one coin being worth $1, one coin was like 48 cents. And then of course in July they lost another 160,000. So third time this year, not looking great for Platypus. Apparently they're trying to make people whole, though. They created a portal for victims who lost their assets, but God only knows. If I trust these people like this with my money one time, I'm not going to do it again. It's like if I hand you $20 and you go off and you blow it on whatever, and then you go, well, I'm going to make you whole. Just give me your social security number. I'm like, fuck you. I'm not doing that again. I'm not doing that. Come on.
No, this time it'll be different.
Right. Yeah, it's that junkie friend who's just like, no, man, like I'm good for it, I swear.
I was gonna say maybe the problem is you just have faith. You don't have faith in the power of crypto.
He's got a system, and he's gonna go. He's gonna go hit the machines. He's got to go hit the slot machines. He's got a system. So the other thing that happened in crypto scams this week is something that really blew my mind. It was called ether hiding. I'm not as familiar with how this works, but my understanding is this. This, according to a Medium post by Guardio Labs. Ether hiding malicious code in a smart contract. So the idea is Binance Smart Chain, which is a whole protocol in and of itself, you can host things there. You can put whatever you want on the Binance Smart Chain. So what these people have done is they're taking this blockchain and using it as a repository for ways to hijack stuff like WordPress sites, and browser update hijacks, Cloudflare overrides, just all sorts of insane things. And because it's on the blockchain, it's forever, right? That's the idea, at least. And they're concealing JavaScript code, which is then injected into the would-be victim's computer. And then it just carries out whatever program it's meant to do. So they can remotely and instantly modify, display whatever message they want, update block domains. They do all these things to like get around stuff like Cloudflare, which we all know is a big name in like cybersecurity, and just ridiculous because essentially they're using Binance Smart Chain, which itself is sometimes host to things like rug pulls and other scams, to facilitate additional scams. It's just like, Jesus fucking Christ. It's scams within scams. It's scams all the way down.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking meta. It seems like an evolution of something I had started hearing about a couple of years ago, which is what they call dusting, which particularly happens on the BSC, the Binance Smart Chain, which is a scammer will take a look at a wallet that has like sometimes it's the whales, and sometimes it's the people that are a little bit below that have some considerable amount of some shit coin. You might have someone that might have a couple $1,000, someone who might have more, and they will create a fake smart contract, has same quantity, same ticker, same everything. Looks identical except for the fact that the unique address for the coin is obviously going to look different. But if someone is just using on BSC, like most people trade on Poo coin because it's a lot easier than using Pancake Swap, which is kind of a nightmare from my understanding, they may just see like, oh, yeah, okay, I have that. And they might accidentally trade and approve the incorrect contract, which usually has some sort of malicious code that then will, usually probably do a wallet drain or something like that. So this just seems like a bit more sophisticated in execution of that idea.
That's insane. Yeah, just the idea that like an errant click can just fuck up your whole day.
Yeah, if you're not paying attention, you're selling the wrong Shadow the Hedgehog Bussy 100 or whatever. which is like how there are some shit coins that are like Stuck Stepsister, yeah, or
right.
Yeah.
Sonic Harry Potter Obama.
There was a goat seat coin, wasn't there, once upon a time?
There's always been a goatse coin, man.
I'm sure I've asked you that before on previous episodes, but like it still blows my mind to this day that someone's like, yeah, you know that guy's really stretched out asshole? We should make that a coin.
There was a lot of Pepe coins, even before the one that's like it's on Binance right now. There was a Pepe coin that was traded on eToro way back in the day. No one remembers eToro because they're gone now. But yeah, like shit's wild, man. And maybe there was a goatse coin there. I can't remember. It was a very long time ago.
I would say probably from the beginning. I'd imagine. Like anytime there's something like this, it's you're probably going to get the hits. You're going to get Top Girl. You're going to get goatse. You're going to get you're going to get a 2 girls 1 cup coin. Like all that stuff.
What is that man doing to his blockchain?
Is Goatse himself making any money off this?
If I remember correctly from our research, that gentleman who was the original goatse guy did pass away. So unfortunately, he is not making any money off that. Yeah.
I heard the one man, one jar guy played at his funeral.
I don't know if you know this, Karella, but that guy, the one jar, one guy is on TikTok.
Oh,
the same tattoos and everything. Like it's definitely him. Never shows his face, but he does like. Someone will post something and then he'll reply to it with a video of him laying down a towel, putting a jar down, and then it cuts. And like everybody who knows what that means. It's truly wonderful. I'll have to send you that link because I cannot remember the account name off the top of my head. But like, God Almighty,
that sounds like a threat.
It does. No, you're absolutely right. There are some videos where it's like you can't possibly be the guy, and then he like. That familiar angle of his ankles.
He should have used a ball pickling jar. That would have been much more sturdy.
If he had to go back in time, I'm sure he would have, and then we probably wouldn't even know who he was because it's only abnormal because the jar broke.
Yeah, otherwise very normal thing.
Very normal thing. Just like Mr. Hands. Like if that horse had not killed him,
right.
It just would have been another weird stag film.
I mean, you're not wrong, even though I know you said that as a joke, but like it kind of feels right that's what would have happened. Moving right along, we're going to get into our main topic this week, which is the reason, of course, we had Bitter Karella on, because Bitter Karella spends a lot of time writing on Twitter and writing on the internet in general. And this here is spooky month, of course. We're in the tail end of the month of October. It's time to get creepy and spooky and weird. And one of the creepiest and spookiest and weirdest things that I always loved about the internet was creepypastas. For the uninitiated, creepypastas are, of course, short stories meant to be copied and pasted amongst other places. Usually they start in forums or wherever, Reddit maybe. But they're user-generated paranormal stories meant to freak you out a little bit. Of course, creepypasta comes from copypasta, which was copy and paste, just short stories or even just like riffs that people would go on and someone would copy it and put it somewhere. Well, the creepypasta phenomenon goes back, I want to say at least to 4chan. I can't think, maybe BBS's, maybe there was something creepy written on a bulletin board service once upon a time, but I don't have a lot of records on those, so I can't be for sure. But a lot of the stuff that we think of as a creepypasta is stuff that originated from a forum or something. Like the big one, obviously everyone thinks of is maybe like Slender Man, which started as a Photoshop Friday competition on Something Awful in 2009, right? Or the Russian sleep experiment, which I still don't know the source of that one. Karella, what is a favorite of yours amongst the creepypasta genre, as it were?
There are a lot of good ones.
Mm-hmm.
If you go way back to the beginning when they were mostly like in forums, and I think a lot were coming from the X board of 4chan is where a lot came from.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them were very short and just to the point. They would often just describe like not even a full story, just a weird, creepy incident, or sometimes just describe a fictitious ritual that you're supposed to do. From those, I really enjoyed the Holder series, which was or I should say, like the first two or so were like, oh, it's kind of cool because it describes like a weird, creepy ritual that doesn't really make much sense and doesn't really have much of a point. So that kind of adds to the weirdness of it all. And then they were like, what if we just turned this into a snow clone and did like 5,000 of them? And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, well, you get diminishing returns after a certain point. I think a little later, some of the more recent creepypastas, one that I think we all know, Candle Cove from Chris
Yes.
Stroud.
Yes. Oh my
That's
gosh.
a classic that's become that's really gone on. Like it's created its entire like there's a whole I think fan community dedicated to that one creepypasta,
Right.
as well as the fact that it became the basis for the first season of Channel Zero.
Oh, which is where I first really got a hold of it, and then I went back and I read the story that it's based on, and I was like, well, the story it's based on is infinitely better, just because of the way it's presented. What I like about Straub,
Yes,
what I like about
yeah.
Straub in particular, is that he didn't just create a story; he also created an entirely fictional online forum thread that tells the story. And so, as a long time something awful good, that little flame in my heart, it kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, these are the kind of things that forums or 4chan's X board would tell each other and creep each other out. But in this one, the story is real, kind of thing. And it just, I gotta recommend, if anyone has just a vague interest in what a creepypasta is, definitely go read the original Candle Cove in its entirety, because it's short, obviously, but it's also presented in a way, because it's presented like a forum thread, it feels more real than if someone had just sat down and did prose, like straight prose. I think that's what the TV show thing lacked, was a little bit of that artifice.
Yeah, there's like it adds a little verisimilitude, I think is
Yes.
the term. It really yeah, and it's kind of a lot of creepypasta does kind of take the form of found footage stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's the Gemini video series, also from Chris Straub. I think he does Local 58, I think
Yes, Local
is the
58
name
is
of it.
his. Yes, man. Oof, boy,
Yeah, yeah.
what a guy.
Which are great. Those are amazing. I will say that my favorite Chris Straub joint is I don't know that you can find it online anymore. Actually, you can probably find it, but the original source when he did Icker Falls,
Mm.
where he had a website that was the concept was there's a fictitious West Virginia town where all these things were taking place.
Mm.
This was also where Candle Cove was originally posted, but he
Yeah.
had one called the Hirsch Camera, which like Candle Cove, it's kind of presented that there's this you're not like just getting a story, it's like a segment from some found footage of a found document. In this case, it was like a brochure for a museum installation about this old-timey camera that took fucked up photos.
Mm.
But I think Chris Straub's, what really makes his creepypastas work so well is that is really good at just doing this very understated, clinical, sterile way of writing.
Mm-hmm.
So everything's very understated, and it kind of lets the horror hit by itself. It doesn't try, oh, isn't this scary? No, it just lets the horror speak for itself, which is kind of nice. I like that. I was going to say the thing about the Hirsch camera, since it's unknown, it doesn't have a whole lot of stupid kids ruining it these days.
Oh yeah. Oh boy, the wickification of all this stuff. Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, that is the worst thing, because if you've read, the Backrooms, I think is the worst offender for that, because it's a very cool concept and it works really well as a very, very short snippet or just flash fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Because like so much horror, like I've said this before, the natural form of horror I think is the short story, because
Yes.
the longer you make something, you start having to explain things, which kind of kills the fear, as well as the fact that just if you write a whole novel or a whole movie, people get very attached to the characters, and then if you have a bad ending, people kind of get pissy about it. But a short story, you have a little more freedom to like fuck things up more. But anyway, so these very short creepypastas I think are the best ones, and when you start adding to them, they eventually collapse under their own weight.
Yeah.
The Backrooms is the worst because children got interested in it,
Mm-hmm.
and children, you know what, the kids need horror, they need their entry points into horror.
Yeah.
But they do this thing where they're like, oh, now on level 18 of the Backrooms, you can meet like a wizard and he'll give you the potion to increase your mana. And it's like, this is not a fucking video game.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there are good creepy pastas based on video games or that are video game
Sure.
related, or there's scary video games, but like turning everything into a video game is like I'm sorry. Go outside, touch grass. It's
Well, yeah.
Children need to ride your bike or something. I don't know what. Do something else.
Right.
The kids need to get away from the screens.
Because even like Slender Man became a video game, and it's like, wow, that kind of lost all anything that was interesting about it. I'm done now.
Oh man, Slender Man is another one that like when it's very cool, just the image of like a very tall guy in a suit. It kind of you look at it, it's like there's something subtly wrong there. Maybe it's because he's way too tall and has tentacles
and doesn't have a face. Yeah.
Yeah, and they did a lot of good stuff with it because like a lot of the photoshops are pretty creepy.
Mm-hmm.
The Marble Hornets movie does a lot with a very low budget.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they even show Slender Man to like the last like 5 minutes or something.
Which is to its credit. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So there's so much, and I do like that on creepypasta. I feel like it's really because it's short. It's just something you post online. A lot of times you're not trying to sell it to anyone. It is something that is allowed to be very experimental.
Yeah.
And sometimes get very weird.
Yeah.
The Wikification kind of flies in the face of that.
Well, exactly. So like the original Backrooms, I can read the entire thing for you now. Here it is in its entirety. You ready? Accompanying this is, of course, a photo supposedly taken in the Backrooms. It is it's like kind of at a Dutch angle. There's a really boring, kind of what you'd expect the default carpet to be like, a very bland wallpaper, drop ceiling, fluorescent lights, some pillars, but it looks like this room could stretch out to infinity. And then the post that accompanies it is as follows. If you're not careful and you no clip out of reality in the wrong areas, you'll end up in the back rooms, where nothing but the stink of old moist carpet, the madness of mono yellow, the endless background noise of fluorescent lights at maximum hum buzz, and approximately 600 million square miles of randomly segmented empty rooms to be trapped in. God save you if you hear something wandering around nearby, because it sure as hell has heard you. That shit still gives me chills.
I mean, it hits for a number of reasons. Like one is it's very easy to imagine that if you've ever gone to like a hotel
Yes.
and like wandered into the areas like like the rooms that are not in use, or like even the staff areas, it looks like that.
Right, a place you're not supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly. And the idea and the creepy thing about it is, the idea of being trapped in that, which an area that it's infinite, you can't get out, and it's just by its nature, it is just hostile to human life. Like you could just wander till you're in that.
Mm-hmm.
They mention a monster being in there, and I'll forgive that because maybe something's in there, maybe something else got trapped in there. You never know. I don't think that is really the scary thing about it, that there's monsters in it.
No.
There was a short film made about the Backrooms that is pretty good. It does have a monster, but like I think the real draw is just it shows a lot of weird hostile architecture, which I think is really what makes the Backrooms kind of frightening.
That's Kane Parsons, by the way. That YouTuber really, if you want to look him up, there's some really great stuff where there's pools where there shouldn't be, or there's things where they're just kind of unusual. Came out of the liminal spaces thing. I feel like the Backrooms also owes a lot to Kubrick's depiction of the Overlook Hotel in the film The Shining.
Yeah.
The carpet patterns and all these things, like you're not supposed to be here, and this kind of feeling of otherness in a normal place. Liminal spaces, of course, is a phrase that's been used to kind of describe something similar. An unsettling feeling that you get where there's something not right about something that's ordinary. And to me, that's basically what all horror boils down to, is something ordinary that has become paranormal or become something else. And even, going back to Chris Straub, a forums post is pretty ordinary, right? But then it's like, hold on, something else happened here.
The liminal space thing, I think, again, that's why it works so good when it's short, because that's the thing, is like, it's a sort of thing that is very creepy and very frightening, but like drawn out to a longer state. It's like being trapped there for a long time would be bad, but as a piece of fiction, you start just being like, okay, now I'm bored. Skinamarink, which is a great concept and was a great short film and a great trailer. And I certainly hope we see a lot more from Kyle Ball because he's got a great style and ideas, but not really something that works as a feature-length film.
Yeah.
At least not in my opinion.
I hardly agree. It took me 3 different watches to complete Skinamarink, and I still felt like, oh boy, there's not enough meat here to stretch this out over a full-length movie. Brian, did you see Skinamarink?
Yeah, I ended up falling asleep about 2/3 through and like woke up and
Yeah.
asked my girlfriend if I had missed something, and she's like, yeah, like a kid got killed, but I don't know if that maybe that happened. I think she was also dozing
That
off.
is the kind of thing where that would happen. Like, just what? Oh, and you don't feel like you missed anything because it's long static shots of a door frame moving, kind of.
And all of a sudden there's like the door's gone.
Yeah. Which is fine. That's good, right? That's normal.
As it does. But yeah, so creepypastas, they work best when they're small and
for sure.
they're I feel like because they have been, I think, now become kids entertainment. And like I said, I don't want to just be all like, oh, kids ruin everything, but it's just like it's a different thing. Like when you look at like Slimy Swamp Ghost, who did Siren Head, which is a great concept for a monster, and like a lot of his photo work, where with Siren Head is genuinely unsettling. And then the kids were like, "We like this. What if we made him floss?" And it's oh, okay,
yeah,
sure, why not?
Because even like Skibidi Toilet, even that's like, okay, a guy's face is in your toilet. That's weird and creepy. But then it's like, and then he fights the camera guy, and then they're all Godzilla. Like, fuck you. Shut up.
Everything is ruined. Well, what are you going to do? I do think...
I mean, they put Siren Head in Fallout 4, for fuck's sake.
Oh, did they?
It was a mod, but still, somebody modded it into the Whispering Hills. But yeah.
I was gonna say, well, I hope they paid Slimy Swamp Ghost because that poor guy keeps getting shafted. By all the Alibaba keeps making like versions of his characters, and it was funny. One time I used to work with kids during my day job, and one time one of them had Cartoon Cat. Like we were all on Zoom talking, and I saw the kid had Cartoon Cat, and I was like a stuffed one. I said to Slimy Mom, goes, "Hey, I saw a kid with your character," and he was like, "Yeah, that's a bootleg. There's no authorized Cartoon Cat." And I was like, "Oh, oops, sorry, that sucks."
That happens all the time. We had Casey Green on a while back, and yeah, he was really kind of miffed about all the unauthorized question hounds that keep popping up in places, and like, yeah, it sucks. He's really like, what can you do? I commend him for that because I would still be mad if it was me. I would be fuming. Yeah. But I guess there's really once it hits the internet, kind of hits the collective conscious, there's really not a lot you can do.
I mean, to some degree, yeah. I mean, to some degree, you kind of. I mean, I guess internet culture, it's there to be remixed and respliced, and things grow out of other things. So I can definitely see that, like, if you create a creepypasta and put it out there, it is like a form of. I hate when people say like, "Oh, it's a modern form of modern folklore," because people usually talk about that shit with like superhero movies.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say the creepypasta is necessarily a form of folklore, but it serves a lot of the same purposes. It's kind of just weird stuff that gets passed around, and eventually it kind of takes on a life of its own beyond the original author.
You mentioned that, but yeah, Aeon Magazine, Will Wiles did kind of draw the line there. He referenced Lovecraft's definition of weird fiction. Lovecraft's full quote is, "A certain atmosphere of breathless and unexplainable dread of outer unknown forces must be present." Okay, check. "There must be a hint expressed with a seriousness and portentousness becoming its subject of that most terrible conception of the human brain." Italians. No, a malign and particular suspension of defeat of those fixed laws of nature which are only safeguard against the assaults of chaos and the demons of unplumbed space, which kind of fits. You know what I mean? Like there's a creeping dread. There's this sense that like the normal is abnormal. It's kind of wonky, kind of clunky, but it kind of fits. Like the idea of weird fiction or supernatural horror it all kind of meshes with what these things are, you know, like Wiles again, creepypasta works best when the medium infects the message. So he's talking, of course, about Chris Straub using message boards. You get the sense of the internet talking about itself. Since these stories are shared on forums, why not use the vernacular of the every user to tell your story? Yeah, certain ways things are done, formats, you know. He calls it a industrialized refinement of weird fiction. It's a networked effort to deliver dread in as efficient way as possible with the minimum of extraneous matter. And I think that's a pretty well, I mean, it's pretty well basically what it is. I mean, and the extraneous matter is the part that we're all going nuts about like wikis saying like, you know, level 55 has a has a robot that says hello.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's inevitable that like, I mean, the same way that like folklore is, you know, will get twisted around and reinterpreted and changed depending on, you know, what the audience particularly wants in a given setting. I guess creepypasta is the same way. It's going to get denatured into something, you know, else. You know, like if you look at, you know, the SCP Foundation, which is another one that like, it's got some good ones on there because the whole concept is it's kind of like, oh, what if there's a big warehouse full of like weird shit,
right?
You know, it's kind of like, it was a Sci-Fi Channel series. It was basically the same premise.
Warehouse 13.
Warehouse 13.
Yep, that was the one. Yeah.
It's basically the same thing. And you know, SCP, it's like, it's got some good ones in there. It's also got a lot of shit because that's kind of what happens when you say, yeah, this is open up for anyone to write thing. It's going to be that way if you're not going to gatekeep. Maybe that's not bad, but
it's 50-50. I can't fault the kids for trying something. Because everybody's got to start somewhere, and if you're interested in writing or creating fiction that's horror adjacent, okay, give me something at least close to this or whatever. But like, there's a certain amount of, like I said, wikification that drives me fucking bonkers. Yeah. It takes the edge off. The conciseness that Lovecraft talks about, and the fact that you know, like you mentioned, short stories are the best way to do it. Now that we've got 4,000 SCPs, the mystery and the fun's kind of gone, if you ask me.
Yeah. It's too much. I mean, what are you going to do? Yeah, but I do think that, like, creepypasta, it's interesting because there have been, you know, attempts to kind of bring it into something bigger, into more traditional horror forms, because you know, there was like a Slender Man movie, and there was like Channel Zero that took creepypastas and made them into some bigger, and you know, I think, you know, mixed results. I think, you know, Channel Zero is as good as you're going to get with that sort of thing, because it definitely in some of the later seasons, I think, really leaned into stuff that is not necessarily, you know, scary, more just really fucking weird, you know, which kind of arrives at the same ultimate conclusion by taking a different track.
No, that's fair.
But you know, one of the funny things is, you know, I've been in the horror community a little while, and it just seems funny to me that in general, the horror people are very, very chill. You know, very chill and very normal, whereas creepypasta people are all certifiably insane. There's so much fucking drama among the creepypasta people. It's so weird. There was a very funny thing for a little while, or one of them, I won't mention his name, but some creepypasta guy like got really mad at me for like mentioning him in Midnight Pals. And did a series of videos where he was trying. It was like I was the videos basically. I watched them and it was like, oh no, this guy is unwell.
Oh no.
I was like, this isn't funny anymore. Because, you know, I was kind of goofing on him in the same way that I goof on a lot of people. And most people, like, take it in stride. They're like, you know, they're very good sports about it because it's obviously just, you know, goofing around. And this guy was like, this is a conspiracy against me.
Oh, no.
And I guess there were some other creepypasta people that he had beefs with. So he was trying to prove that I was like a sock puppet of this other person that he had a beef with. It got very red thread on the wall type thing, you know, red yarn. Yeah. Anyway, I stopped poking at him because everything I did just made him attack the other person that he was already mad at, who wasn't doing anything. So I was like, I should probably not like poke this hornet's nest. Plus, you know, it's just not good sportsmanship to attack mentally unwell people, I think. But anyway, creepypasta, very odd community.
Yes.
But I guess it does, it's the internet, so that's what you
I
get.
guess. So this is about the part of the show where we show people gross pictures. Oh, it's my favorite part of the show. It's called shock.jpg.
And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
Shock.jpg.
Karella, are you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Well, I guess we will have to imagine. We'll have to use the
No.
boundless. Oh, you found it.
Thankfully, the Internet Archive came to the rescue on this one. This one is... Yep. Brian got it.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh,
Brian got it.
it's even more upsetting a second time around.
It really is.
Well, here's the thing is like, before it was upsetting because it was being projected on the wall in the chalet, but I'm recording remotely tonight, and now I can see some detail that didn't necessarily translate on the wall projection when it's now here on my desktop monitor. And there's just like there's some moistness to the
Yeah.
Jason, first of all, you should describe what this is.
I should. So according to the Screamer Wiki, of course, this is known as Screamer Cactus. That is an unofficial name. It is a French shock site created by a French forum user, Pajama Sam, first mentioned April 2012 on a French off-topic forum, blah blah 18 to 25 ans, which my limited French tells me it means blah blah 18 to 25 years, meaning that you have to be 18 to 25 to be in that forum. The picture is of a man with a cactus inside his anus. And then this is the exact phrasing from the Screamer Wiki, with a very small amount of sperm about to come out of his penis. The very specific language they have. And the original version of this site did come with an extremely loud version of a song by Stupaflip called The Cadillac Theory. I don't know if either of you are familiar with this song.
All right, let's hear the song. It's very French. It's a yeah, okay.
A French like onyx song, like
I think these guys had something come out on the Anacon.
That makes sense. Yeah, definitely.
I'm joking.
Oh.
It's just like,
well, you had me. You could have just rolled with it because I don't know. Sure, why not?
I guess this is like the French like Jedi mind tricks.
Yeah, the French Jurassic 5. Yeah. So that image with that song in the background, still again not sure what Cadillac has to do with someone with a cactus in their rectum. I gotta say,
I think it's just like a loud and aggressive song. But yeah, it's.
I mean, Cadillac sounds kind of like cactus.
Okay.
Kind of.
Okay.
Okay. A little, maybe.
Oh,
maybe in French.
Yeah. The index on the site there does say "ca," so I'm guessing that's part of the song.
It's a vulgar image. Hairless. There's some goosebumps here on the underside of the thigh.
Oh yeah. I'm noticing this. Yeah. Juicy.
That nutsack looks like a dragon fruit.
I'm assuming, that this person is enjoying themselves because there are goosebumps, like you said. The dick has pre-cum on it, indicating, that they're. Now the dick is not particularly hard; it looks kind of flaccid. So there's some ambiguity there.
Right.
The ball sack is very contracted, though.
Yeah, high and tight.
Yeah. So in a state of arousal, the sack could do that. So I'm assuming this person is enjoying themselves. The fact that they decided to put a cactus up their ass, I assume, was done for pleasure. I don't know why else you would do it.
One would hope. One would hope.
I would hope. Yeah. My worry is now I want to do it myself.
The wife's out for the weekend. I'm putting the cactus up my ass.
Yeah. The wife's away. The cat will play.
Pulling the cactus out is the problem.
Ooh.
Honey, why does my cactus smell like shit?
Yeah.
I don't know. The cat was fucking with it. I don't know.
The neighbor kid was over here.
What is impressive though is how incredibly smooth this fellow is.
Yeah.
Because you'll notice not a single hair on that scrotum, and if you look to the top, you get a very little sliver of crotch right above the dick, and there's no hair up there either. So this person, actually the ass has no hair either.
Right.
So this is an incredibly smooth person.
And you got to also note, no razor burn. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
you'd think with
yeah.
a shave that close, you'd have some.
And I mean, also, this is I feel like very unusual for the French because what I've heard about them
Mm-hmm.
is they tend to be a hairy people. You know, they don't do much shaving.
That's a good point. Now, this was posted on a French forum. That does not necessarily mean that the image came from someone who is themselves French, though. See, that's the real sticky wicket because we really don't know where the actual origins of the image are. We just know that that's where it was posted. So
I just realized another thing. This dick is cut.
Yes.
Which also may indicate not French origins because I know that circumcision was not fairly common in France until recently. I don't know if that's changed, but I'm assuming probably not a whole lot of people there doing it. If there are any French listeners, they can chime in and tell me if I'm wrong or not.
I had to look this up just because you said it. Apparently, according to the University of Sydney, Australia, no idea why they decided to research this, but the prevalence of circumcision varies wildly in Western countries. France, 14%.
Wow. Okay, so in all likelihood, this is not a Frenchman, which is kind of disappointing because the idea of this being a French person was very funny to me. You know, just the idea like, why laugh when one is born astride a cactus? You know, just lowering us on a cactus. Quite the predicament.
You got to see Kenneth Branagh do this in one of his movies, you know? I'm sorry. Pierrot is Belgian. I have to make that distinction. But the way
it's basically French light.
I was going to say the way Branagh plays him, he's basically a Frenchman.
Just imagine someone out of frame wearing like the striped shirt and the beret.
Yeah.
Eating a clove of garlic, or whatever they eat in France. I don't know. Sauce American.
Giant baguette under his arm, being like, "This one next,
yeah."
This baguette is a rib for my pleasure.
The spicy baguette is what they call the cactus. Yeah.
Spicy baguette. Oh, what a terrible image.
I know
that beloved French character, the spicy baguette.
Yes. It's
the baguette pervert.
Yeah, you know, the baguette pervert. It's like that is a beloved character of France, more so than Tintin or Asterix.
Oh yeah,
the baguette pervert.
Yeah,
he brings bread to the bunga bunga parties.
Yes,
at the
absolutely.
Although you have to recall that because it's France, by French law, you have to say it in French. It would be le baguette pervert. Or le pervert baguette.
Le pervert du baguette. Yeah.
I have a cousin with a master's in French history. I could ask her.
Oh, please.
Yeah, ask her about the baguette pervert.
The cousin who lives like 2 blocks away from me, but I haven't spoken to since before the pandemic.
Oh Lord!
Right. Hey, I know we don't talk because like there's a seething hatred going on here. But how would a Frenchman say the baguette pervert?
Well, my 4 years of high school French, I'm gonna go with Karella here and say le pervert des baguettes.
France's greatest cultural contribution, man. You know, in France, you know that they eat French fries, or as they call them, fries.
Right. Pommes frites.
With with a tiny
like that.
plastic fork.
Mm-hmm.
There's a special plastic little fork that's only for eating French fries. So you go to go to what they would call an imbisse, and you would say un pomme frites, s'il vous plaît.
Right.
They give you a little paper dish with the French fries and covered in mayonnaise. Not like American mayonnaise.
No.
It's like it's almost like a tartar sauce. And there's a little plastic fork that you use to eat the French fries. You don't use your fingers like in America. So it's a whole new grid. It's fascinating culture. Fascinating culture, France, you know.
We could learn so much.
We could learn so much from them, you know. They're so far ahead of us in you know, baguettes and perversion.
And Islamophobia.
Yeah. That's true. Oh, they love Islamophobia. I forget, are they a fascist country now, or did they go for the
They're like a progressive fascist country because like they ban hijabs and I think some other elements of most Islamic faiths, but also like the firemen will set themselves on fire and fight the cops in the middle of the street over like gas tax. So
You try to take their pay down by 10 cents, and the French will be like strapping to themselves and be like, "Come and get it, you motherfuckers."
I mean, that's pretty cool. You got to stand that.
Yeah, I actually a photographer who also documented Ferguson. He was in France when like the yellow vest riots were happening.
Hell yeah.
Like he was visiting with his family and he was like, this is a little too much. Like he's like, I just can't get away from this shit. Yeah, it was. I think there was also like still some Ferguson stuff going on when he was visiting France. So like he like walked past a newspaper stand. There was like a photo from something in St. Louis City or in the Ferguson area, and he's like, I really just can't fucking escape this thing.
Right.
But yeah, but like the French will just riot over anything. It makes you wonder what would happen here in this country if we like work together collectively on anything other than like I don't know, thinking that vaccines weren't real or nobody wants to work.
Yeah.
We I'll get some old country motherfuckers coming into my day job and they'll just start going on about something about no one wants to work these days, and it's like, my dude, like you just like told me about how like you like worked with your hands your whole entire life and that you've got like a cabin down by the lake in the Ozarks and all this stuff, and I've only been talking to you for 5 minutes. I'm gonna work all the rest of my life with my hands. Guess what? I ain't gonna have shit.
Right.
Yep.
You know? Like,
It's sad.
that's why no one wants to work.
Right. Because ain't nothing seems to come from it, in the words of Tom Petty. Yeah, it's just drives you nuts.
I mean, same thing. My old job, people would come in and you know, they tell you their whole life story as soon as they come in because they're lonely. Everyone in America is lonely and has no friends. So they're like, I'm going to go find a service, a retail service person who by law has to listen to me and nod and smile at anything I say. And so they come in and they think, oh, we're friends now. I can tell you anything. And they will tell you anything.
Oh, yeah.
They'll come in and be like, oh, you know, my kids don't talk to me anymore. My wife just died. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry, sir. And they'll be like, oh, and also, you know, the Jews control the media. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's nice. I got one woman came in and she was going on about like, oh, you know, she was going on about birth certificate crap, you know, like that was a big one for a while. We had a lot of birth certificate people coming in, and she would tell me about like, you know, Obama's actually from Kenya and like his wife is a man. She's pretending to be a woman because they kidnapped these children that are not real. Yeah, you know, this was a few years ago when Obama was still in the news. And then at the end, she's like, okay, and this is my credit card I'm going to use to pay. It says Queen of Sheba on it. That's not my real name. But like you can call up the credit card company and they'll give you a credit card with whatever name you tell them on. It doesn't have to be your real name. And I was just like, ma'am, I think this is actually pretty illegal. I don't think this is right. No, it's totally fine. You can do it. You can do it too, you know. You can have any name you want on your credit card. Just call up and do it. And I'm just like, I don't think I'm going to do that. I really don't think this is a good idea. But anyway, so she's the Queen of Sheba.
Okay.
You know, there's also, I don't know if this is related, but I will say this. The most insane people that ever came into my job and talked to me for hours, they were all limousine drivers. That's a thing.
Oh, hold on, what?
I have met one limousine driver, or one man who made known to me that he was a limousine driver, and I was working at Guitar Center, I think the first time I worked for Guitar Center, so this was in 2004, 2005, and he kept bringing up about how one time he drove Harrison Ford to the airport.
Mm-hmm.
And he just kept talking like, oh, it was just so cool. You know, I got to drive like the, well, I'm like, well, you like talking? Oh, I didn't really want to be bothered, but I did get a photo with him. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool, man. Like, that's kind of neat. You get to meet like a big movie star. You drive him to the airport. And he's like, actually, yeah, hold on a second. He goes out to, I guess the limo's parked in the lot. And he had like a fucking 8x11 of him and Harrison Ford standing outside of a limo. So you just walk around with a photo of you and Harrison Ford, and not like a pocket size, like something you can put in your wallet or like under the visor or
No.
something like this is something that's supposed to be framed. Unless you're doing like reconnaissance on like your political enemies, like this is a cumbersome a document here, an image, printed image to be just. I was like, wow, this is an insane person.
Yeah, there is something about driving a limousine. I feel that like kind of drives you insane eventually.
I worked a job about a little over 10 years ago at this hippy dippy place that sold Buddhist and even a couple Jainist pieces, if you could believe it, like Hindu, Buddhist, some of the Taoists. Like I'm not so good at Taoism, but like they're patriarchs, they're like intellectual masters, for lack of a better term. There's a better word, but I don't remember it. But always, without fail, if the weather was terrible, if I was like working like an evening shift and it was like freezing ice, like no one's driving, no one's walking, some guy who's like 6'5", wearing shorts and probably weighs at least 300 pounds is gonna walk through the door and talk to me about like Plant X.
Oh, hell yeah. Nibiru. Oh.
And I'm just like thinking, like, I hate that I had to just like drive 30 minutes in an ice storm to like work a minimum wage job where like no one's gonna buy anything. Nothing's gonna happen.
No.
Like I'm just gonna be sitting here oiling like wooden statues so they don't crack, and like just some dude who is too big for me to physically push out of the store is gonna come in and just be like, yeah, so who actually killed JFK was the Shakers.
The Shakers.
The Shaker, really? Oh, like, and then you're like, okay, now I gotta hear this. But then you're like, well, this is even like a good conspiracy theory. Like, this is still bad. I'm so glad I don't work like retail anymore, because I don't think I have that patience anymore for just people coming in and being like, I can't even remember. I'm just kind of blocked out. Just like people just come in and say the dumbest shit, the weirdest shit, like how you described, like because they think they have you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm buying this $4 pack of Nag Champa. Therefore, you have to listen to me talk about the one time I got to see the Dalai Lama speak at Radio City Music Hall, and I'm just kind of like sitting there thinking, like, I kind of think the Dalai Lama is a little bit of a fascist, but I don't know if I should say that.
Definitely not one you want to bring up. Yeah, that's definitely one where you go,
Well, I mean, the guy who owned the business was such a piece of work that people from like the local Buddhist and Zen community would come in and buy certain ceremonial items. And we were one of the few people in St. Louis where you could get them. And I guess the places they weren't owned by this guy who was pissed off everyone in the religious community for years. They would come in, they would buy stuff, and I'd be like, oh, hey, aren't you a part of, this Sangha or whatever? You help the St. Louis Zen Center or whatever. And they're like, yeah, don't tell the owner of the business I was here. And I'm like, oh, you're cool, because I hate him too. And they would just be like, tight.
Yeah. Fuck, dude. I think the craziest thing I ever got at a place where I worked is I worked at the casino. So I worked at one of these.
I thought you were going to talk about the time you got your ass beat at the bank.
Oh, you know what? Tomorrow, a scheduled post for tomorrow on my Substack. I do mention my ass beating when I worked at a bank, but no, this is.
How do you get your ass beat at a bank?
All right, I guess I'll tell this story again.
Some guy asked if he could be his friend, and he said, "Yeah, sure." And apparently, friendship to this man is getting the shit knocked out of you.
Yeah. So the full story is that this guy was a vet. He was off his meds. And he thought I had shortchanged him a day or two before, and so he comes in, tries to start a new transaction. I asked for his ID. He starts opening his wallet and he goes, hey, you want to be my friend? He puts his hand out, and me, being a gullible white guy, is like, sure. Like, hey, yeah, sure. I'm going to shake your hand, be your friend. To do so, he then grabs my hand, pulls me over the counter, and starts wailing on me.
Oh, geez.
I don't know how long this actually went on, but I mean, it felt like forever. And eventually I like wriggle free of his grasp, hit the back of my head on the floor. He books it out of there. When the cops come to get him later, he's sitting in his apartment or his house or whatever. He's sitting on his couch, and he just kind of puts his hands up and is like, yeah, I know why you're here. And they take him in. It's the most surreal thing. And I spent, like, okay, you're going to take you to the ER, make sure you don't have a concussion and all this stuff. And then I got moved to a different branch, but I like went back to work like the next day. It was just really bizarre.
Yeah, that's how you know you're a simp for capitalism. You got your ass beat, but you're like, you know what? They really need me.
Yeah, kind of. Kind of. The other one was I'm working in a casino, and this was really bizarre because, we were working overnights at a casino, and Missouri used to have this. They used to have what was called the loss limit. So you could not spend more than $500 in a 2-hour period in a Missouri casino. And it was tracked via these rewards cards, which doubled as our customer appreciation shit. So you'd get comps or whatever based on whatever you put in. These guys would come in at 1 o'clock in the morning, clearly right after the bars had closed, and they'd want a card. And because they have to have one to get in the casino, because the casino served drinks till 2:30, so they could get an extra hour and a half of drinking in. They would come up to me with these IDs and just like, okay, I need a card. But some of them got belligerent and some of them got ridiculous. And one of them, though, was really, really into the idea that he was a black Israelite. And so he was telling me all about how, you're not white. I was like, okay, go on. Well, you're actually descended from the starseeds, and that's who we are. And he says to himself, like running his fingers down his own face, that's who we are. You're one of the impure ones. And I'm like, okay, what's the spelling on your last name? Can I get? I don't give a shit about it. Like, okay, yeah, sure, man. And I saw him a couple days later, same thing. You guys were. It's like, yeah, I've heard it, man. Come on. Same guy came in like 3 days straight. It was like, yeah, I've heard it. Come on, let's go. Tried to hand me a pamphlet about like the hoteps, about how like they're gonna meet up. And I'm like, I'm fine. I don't need this. I'm all right. Thank you.
That's interesting. Like I've never heard someone do like the hotep like black Israelite and the starseed thing at the same time.
Yeah,
that's a new spin
That's
on
a new combo. Yeah,
because
and that was 20 years ago. So I mean,
yeah. Well, the black Israelites used to hang out in the Del Mar Loop, which is like this very hip part of town. And friend of the show, Danny, when he used to work in the Del Mar Loop, he had to like pass them to get to his car a lot of the time. Boy. And he's like a nice like little Jewish kid. And he's just like always just trying to not interact with them. But they were like also like live streaming. So there was like also like this really fringe religious belief with also some really intense anger and energy, and there was also a live stream like YouTube prank show of just like freaking out people on the Del Mar Loop, just being like, yeah, Jesus was black, and so was Captain Crunch. I don't know. I once had like an Israelite ask me if I knew a black Israelite asked me if I knew my lineage. I'm like, yeah, it's like mostly Irish. She's like, oh, so you know where you came from? I'm like, yeah, it's not that great. Yeah. And like I know the point you're making, but it's like, yeah, like I just like thinking to myself, like, yeah, on my dad's side of the family, I'm descended from like one of the city founders of Sacramento, and he enslaved the natives.
So yeah,
so
not great.
I'm like, yeah, like it's I would rather have not known that.
Right.
Like I'm like, I understand what you are talking about, but I'm saying like sometimes knowing ain't that great either.
Yes, and to answer your question, yes, John Sutter. Yes, that's the
yeah. If you take a portrait of John Sutter and you take the sleeves off of whatever regalia he's wearing and put Milwaukee's best in his hand, that is my father. and Jason, you've worked with my
I did,
dad,
yeah.
So you can attest.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Oh, man. I have that image now in my mind. I hadn't even thought about that, but yeah, you're right. Oh, boy.
I actually I interviewed one of those Starchild people once.
Okay.
For a so very, very, just to make it briefly, I used to work as a freelance reporter, and I got sent to interview this guy who was a real big in the Starchild community. He was a disgraced psychologist who fucked all his patients. So
all right,
and then, yeah, and then got into being a Starchild shit. Anyway, I called him up, right? And he's all like, the government's after me. I got to be careful because, like, people are trying to kill me. There are all these assassins out to get me. Right. And I was like, yeah, can I come over? Yeah. And he's like, yeah, sure. Here's my address. Random person who just called me on the phone. So I show up, right? And I'm talking to this guy. And, he's just going on. And eventually I was all like, hey, how do you know if someone's a Starchild? And he tells me, I got a foolproof way to know. I got a foolproof do you want to see it? And I was like, yeah, I want to see it. He's like, all right, you wait here. I'll get the device. And I was like, oh shit, right?
Okay.
And like he leaves, and I was like, oh my god, here we go. He comes back with a fucking divining rod. And I was like, and I was just so mad. I thought like, oh, you're gonna bring in the fucking, I don't know, like,
E-meter, whatever. Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, it's like a divining rod. Ugh. So anyway, big disappointment. He's all like, he's like, okay, go stand by that big screen TV, and I'll tell you if your electromagnetic aura sets off the divining rod. And it's like, you sure you want me by the big
yeah
screen TV? Yeah, it's fine. Anyway, according to this guy, like, yeah, I'm Starchild. So.
Hell yeah. Never had a Starchild on the show before, so that's new. All right. Well, this is about time of the show where we talk about stuff that we've been watching, things that we've been catching up on, comics, books, whatever it is that grabs your attention. Of course, it's everyone's mom and girlfriend's favorite part of the show. Of course, it's the breath mint.
It's time for your mom's favorite part of the show. It's time for the breath mint.
The breath mint. Because, we looked at cactuses and asses. We've talked about nasty, creepy pastas. Let's take it down a little bit. It's breath mint time. And breath mint usually means that our guest gets to go first. So, Karella, what's been on your plate as far as, like, stuff you consumed and things that you're enjoying?
Sure. So, I am just currently house sitting for some friends. So I just was going through their library, see what they have. I just read The Last Halloween by Abby Howard, which is a fun Halloween story in the kind of a Honan Vasquez vein. Previously, I had read her Crossroads at Midnight, which is all about what if you met a squishy ghost. And that includes a story about like, oh, I found a mattress on the street and I'm going to sleep on this old mattress and I'm going to be possessed by the ghost that is apparently the spiritual manifestation of Ringworm. Is it squishy? Yes, it is.
Oh boy.
Anyway, but it's a fun one. And after that, I just read Beasts of Burden by Evan Dorkin, the milk and cheese man himself. Yeah. And this is about what if it was Ghostbusters, but instead of the Ghostbusters, they were all dogs. So it's not furry. You'd think it'd be furry. It sounds furry, but I mean like real dogs. Like, what if people were like, you're walking around and your dog is like, there's ghosts. I gotta bark at the ghosts, which they kind of do in real life. Think about it. It's fun. It's a nice little twist on the standard supernatural mystery. So
okay,
I enjoyed it a lot.
Okay, that's Jill Thompson, by the way, doing the art. Really like her work. Anything I've seen of hers. Brian, how about yourself? What you been up to?
Girlfriend and I, we finally did it. We saw all of the Saw movies. We went to see Saw X, Saw 10 over the weekend, and while that was you can most certainly say it was a movie. It's very weird. Like, it's still got some of the cheese.
Yeah.
But it's kind of got like a more of an A24 like cinematography and general like production quality. Tobias, the guy who plays John Kramer, that dude just looks like he wants to go take a nap. He looks like he is just like, all right, how many takes? You need me to do it again? I think all of the Saw movies hinge on the element of they don't want you to think too much about what's going on, because the plot of the film is that John Kramer, he gets diagnosed with this terrible, basically inoperable, fatal cancer, and he goes to a cancer, like talk group, like a grief group, and there's a guy there that talks about his cancer and how rough it is, and at some point in the near future, John runs into him at like an outdoor coffee shop, and John's like, "Wow, you look like you're doing really, really good for yourself."
Thank you.
And the guy's like, "Yeah, actually, I found this experimental treatment. It's a surgery, and then there's like a cocktail that they put you on that is experimental, but it really works." And he like lifts up his shirt because he had like pancreatic or bowel cancer or something like that, so he's got this gnarly scar across his stomach. He's like, "It's my war wound," and he's like, if you want to check this out, I haven't been in contact with these folks in a while. They tend to move around because of the greedy insurance companies like making life hard for them. he goes and he goes to this website, and it's this like Norwegian doctor who's been forced into hiding because of his experimental cancer treatment. It's too good, and so
right. Yeah.
his daughter is now like holding the flame, holding the light for it, and he gets in contact with this lady. He goes like Mexico, and he has this what he thinks is this very successful surgery, and then he's told to drink like this cocktail for like 5 or 6 days, and he goes back to the house or to the state where it happens, and he's like, he's not supposed to know where it's at because he's been black bagged and all that, but he was able to look at the like mountains and hills, and he was able to figure out where he was in relation to things by looking at the skyline.
Okay.
And that's actually kind of a neat little bit of detective work he does there, but he's scammed, and of course all these people that just scammed him don't get the fuck out of Mexico,
right?
Like,
Yeah.
I figured if you pull like a scam a guy for like a $250,000 that you would fucking bounce.
Yep.
But then he like goes through and tortures everyone.
Right.
It's just kind of weird because it's just like, here's like a rich, wealthy white architect who's also a serial killer, who just goes to Mexico for experimental surgery, right? Realizes he's been scammed, and his means of vengeance is then just also torturing like one Norwegian white woman, but then also a bunch of Mexican people. And one of the traps, a mild spoiler here, so if you don't want to listen, you don't want to hear this mild spoiler for the seminal film Saw 10, skip ahead like a minute or two. One of the traps involves waterboarding a small child with blood.
Ooh.
Did the child scam him too?
No, the child is innocent.
Oh boy.
Wow. John Kramer sounds kind of problematic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then after the whole thing is, there is the Norwegian woman and her accomplice, who's a British man, think that they got one over on John Kramer, Amanda, and this little Mexican boy, and so they put the little boy and John Kramer in what was supposed to be the final trap, and basically they both have a switch where they're laying down and they waterboard each other with blood, and the Norwegian woman and her accomplice go into like the office in this industrial building, and they find the money, and the money, of course, when she grabs it, is attached to a wire, and it releases, and of course now the 10-minute timer starts, and they're getting locked in. And so the whole entire ruse was that John Kramer let a child get waterboarded with blood so he could trick a Norwegian scammer and her accomplice into locking themselves into a room that was then going to slowly fill up with a skin-eating gas of some sort.
God damn.
God damn. Like, it's like, could you have done that without waterboarding a child? John Kramer, was that?
Looking into this John Kramer fella, the more I learn about him, it sounds like a real jerk.
Like, you ask him, and he's like, "Oh, actually, if I had to, I have to redo the weights, and the physics of it would change." And I'm like,
right.
Yeah. Well, and like also when he like when the kid gets released from the waterboarding trap, the bloodboarding trap, he tells the kid, "You're a warrior now."
Oh boy. Oh boy. Another spoiler warning, because I have to ask this. I saw it in the teaser. I want to believe this is true. Is Hoffman back?
Hoffman is back for the teaser, or for the post-credits scene.
Yes.
So,
I'm sorry. I love Hoffman. He's such a shithead.
Hoffman is back, and he's helping Jigsaw string up the guy from the coffee shop that told him about the experimental treatment.
Okay.
And Hoffman is putting them together, and he's got some the man's got some contraption around his chest that like you don't really get a good look at, but it's implied that it's just going to like pull up his guts.
Oh boy.
I couldn't you can't really get a good look at it. But the man who's playing Hoffman is like, of all the people you decide to scam, you fuck with John Kramer? In this little after credits scene, the actor who plays Detective Hoffman does more acting in this post-credit scene than he does in like the 2 movies where he is the protagonist.
I was gonna say, yeah, like
he's like chewing the fucking scenery, and like he does not do that at all in like the 2-3 movies where he is the actual bad guy.
Yeah, Costas Mandylor, by the way, is the guy's actual name. And I still cannot believe that's the guy's actual fucking name. But yeah, Costas Mandylor. Sounds like a Star Wars ass name. But I love him as Hoffman. I love Hoffman. I love he's back. And Shawnee Smith, she's Amanda. She's back as well.
Yeah, and it's still it's probably more arresting that Tobias Bell is the age that he is playing Jigsaw, John Kramer, and what I think is supposed to be between movies 2 and 3 in the timeline is the actress who plays Amanda trying to wear like an early like key holder at a like Hot Topic early aughts like young lady's haircut. Like also 20 years on.
The same haircut from Saw 2. Yeah, the real spiky. Yeah. Oh, boy.
Well, now it's just more kind of like a flat bob, but it still looks like a Hot Topic key holder. It's pretty wild. That was an interesting movie. The gore is really good.
Mm-hmm.
The acting isn't necessarily terrible. It's just like it's just always with these movies, like the script has always got some sort of cancer on it that just doesn't allow it to really work like how I think it's supposed to.
I felt that way since like 3. There's just been a real noticeable, because the Saw movies have always been about this perceived idea that Kramer is like fighting some injustice, but like the longer it goes on, it's like you're just being a dickhead, man.
Yeah, like I don't know, man. Maybe you're the problem. Maybe you have bad vibes or are just generally uncomfortable to be around.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. Fuck. And as old as fucking Tobin Bell looks now, Jesus wept. I mean, it's been.
But what's just the thing? He wasn't young in the first
couple
of Saw movies, and there's that one Saw movie. I think it might be Saw, the Saw 3D, where they have him try to look young, but they couldn't figure out any other way to do it, so they put him in a backwards baseball cap.
Straight out of 30 Rock. The Steve Buscemi with the backwards cap. Yeah, absolutely. So for the Breath Mint this week, you guys, I have been enjoying quite a bit the show that AMC put on for 3 seasons. Kind of a miracle they did it that long. It was called Into the Badlands. Are either of you familiar with this one?
I am not.
I am not.
So it is, in essence, a post-apocalyptic show about kung fu warriors called Clippers who keep order in the Badlands. So the Badlands is this kind of nebulously defined area. Later on in the series, we kind of get the idea that it's like the Midwest. And then there's all these barons of all their little fiefdoms, and they're producing poppy seeds and all this stuff. And boy, it's a lot of palace intrigue. It's a lot of really gory kung fu fights with swords and all. I mean, you think of your average like post-Matrix wuxia film, and you put that into a TV show's scope with a little bit of Game of Thrones palace intrigue thrown in there, and you pretty much got Into the Badlands. It's a hoot. I enjoy it quite a bit. It's got everything you want. It's got a little bit of, Donnie Yu, who's the main character there. Second season, he links up with Nick Frost from the Shaun of the Dead, all those Edgar Wright movies. And what's really great is that Nick Frost, he's a big guy, but he's also a former kung fu master, and so he it's this big guy who moves with grace, and that's kind of neat to see, because you don't really see that in a lot of TV shows or movies these days. I mean, even Sammo Hung back in the day, you'd see him kicking ass, but you don't see that as much now, so that's kind of neat. I just really like the look of it, too. There's just some great picturesque vistas of poppy seeds and these big plantations that have been turned into these houses for these barons, and just kind of a grim color palette. You got this great cast of really game actors who are also fairly decent at martial arts, at least on film, and just, boy, what a hoot. It ran for 3 seasons. I'm in the middle of the second one now, and oh boy, it's a good time. If you can find it, because Lord only knows where the hell it's streaming now. I'm assuming it's going to be. It was on Netflix for a while. I'm assuming it's going to be coming to Max next, but who the hell knows? But just, boy, what a show. Warrior was the other one that kind of came to mind, if either of you have seen this one. Max has that one. Warrior?
No, I'm not familiar with that.
So it very much in that same kind of like, he's a guy and he's going to a place and he's fighting a bunch of guys, and it's an excuse to have 45-minute episodes of palace intrigue and kung fu fights. It's great stuff. Silly, but it takes itself 100% seriously, and I think that's what sells it. It's like there's no winking, because you can see how that would happen. Some of these shows where they're like, isn't it funny how we're doing kung fu? Wink, wink. But no, this is they just sell it. It's really superb. So I highly recommend that as well. Well, this is part of the show where we tell people where to find us online. Karella, since you are our guest, why don't you go ahead and tell us where they can find you?
Sure, you can find me wherever fine posts are made on the internet under the name Bitter Karella. On Blue Sky, Tumblr, Patreon, Substack, Mastodon, for some reason. Also, and possibly at some point again on Twitter. We'll see. You can also find more of my work at Midnight Pals, which is on Midnight_Pals on Twitter, Midnight Pals with no underscore on Blue Sky, and or just go to www.midnightpals.com. It's easy enough right there. Yeah. They'll also check out the new podcast about Midnight Pals, which also you can find on Spotify, Anchor, thing. I don't know, wherever podcasts are. It's Midnight Pals. Look it up. Google it.
And on Sunday of this week, we're going to be doing a special stream along. I may have mentioned before that I'm in Midnight Pals with Karella's wonderful cast of actors. So we'll be doing that Sunday afternoon. We'll be listening to the first episode, and we'll be kind of going along with that. More details, of course, midnightpals.com. Brian.
Yes.
Brian, why don't you go ahead and tell us where they can find you?
If you want to send me death threats or anything like that, you can find me on Blue Sky, Threads for some reason, Instagram, and Twitter at iShotGuidibord. That's ISHOTGUIDBORD. If you want to check out photography portfolio, it's assholemusicphotographer.com. If you want to check out some photos with words, amusicphotographer.com. My Ash Nico write-up and photos went live over the weekend.
Yes, I saw it.
Yeah, how'd you like those?
Those were great.
Yeah, thank you. That was a fun show. It would have been a lot more fun if I didn't have some fucking hired security guard kind of fucking strong-arm me the whole time.
Oh, boy.
They call him big and dumb for a reason. That's the one thing I don't like about the pageant as a photographer. It's a great room, great sight lines, great sound. Stage is a little high for shooting, but otherwise pretty good. But they have this security company called B&D Security that they contract with. And for, 30-something years, they've always been called big and dumb because that's kind of what they are. And it's just at this one venue, because B&D will do festivals and stuff here, but it's just at this one venue, and there's only 3 of them at most, and they're just always a pain. I had this guy acting like he was going to throw me out because I was blocking apparently an aisle with part of my foot.
What?
And I'm like, dude, I don't need this, man. I'm just trying to take the fucking photos, man. You're the one wearing the backwards fucking baseball cap in 2023, man. I'm not the problem here.
Right.
But anyways, yes, thank you. Those photos, I really liked taking them, even if they were made under a little bit of duress. I may or may not be photographing Amel in the sniffers tomorrow night at the pageant. I love trying to organize credentials with tour managers who are obviously very busy people, but can you just give me a yes or no?
Right.
I filled out all this paperwork and then he never responded. I would really like to know if I'm going to be credentialed or not before I trek all the way down there and have the embarrassment of going to the box office and be like, yeah, I don't see your credentials here.
Oh boy.
Fingers crossed on that.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping I get that because all the photos I've seen from their tour so far have been fucking amazing, and I hope I could take some amazing photos of them as well. Anyways, theartsstl.com. arguably the last and only good actual like media review website left in St. Louis.
Well, you can find me online pretty much anywhere there's a video crime. That's going to be me, VIDEOCRIME. That's Twitter or X or whatever the fuck you want to call it, Blue Sky, various other places, with the exception, of course, of Instagram and TikTok. Those I am at Laser Goose CEO. That's laser with an S because there is no Z in there. You can also find the show itself, 48minutesdogsbarking.com. Shoot us an email, Jason at 48minutesdogsbarking.com, Brian with a Y at 48minutesdogsbarking.com. Give us a call, 314-246-9766. That's 314-AHOY POO. And you can also support the show, patreon.com/48minutesofdogs. Well, that about does it for the program. This is where we say namaste and good luck. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.